Isn't this one pretty? So you see, my goal is to stick to this design, right? And maybe not all of them satin finished, because the satin finish, it's a little bit of elbow grease, you know what I'm saying? But just look at that handle. Isn't that crazy? That's curly birch that grows right out here. This is all like stuff we planted 20 years ago and harvesting, and it's a very tricky way to make a handle because you got to make sure that you don't grind your way through the ring. Because if you do that, then you have to start over. But wow. You see, guys, you don't need to overcomplicate anything. Use a CAD. Draw out a design in your CAD. Something that's, you know, conservative, not too experimental. Try something that already exists, you know, like Honisuki, right? Go with like 2mm thick steel. I think this is 1.5mm thick when it's done. I don't know how thick it is. I don't remember how thick it is when it's hold on. I don't want to measure the thickness on this one because I don't want to scrap. Well, whatever, I will. I don't want any scratches. Yeah, that's 1.53. Here's like a more basic, same steel, but yeah, 1.6. So that's a good thickness, but they might come out a little warped from the heat treat, so you're gonna have a lot of straightening to do. But if the heat treat is good and the temper is good, then you can hammer it straight. So let's see what it looks like with this other handle, with this other blade on. Pretty tight fit. You don't really even need to glue it. Isn't that nice? Kind of a rough finish. So I don't usually glue the handles and the blades in until they're purchased. It depends, of course. It depends, of course, on the situation, but generally I avoid, especially with these satin finish ones, because if you get a scratch on this, and you gotta smack the handle off, and there's glue, and you gotta, just a bit messy. It's much easier to just keep it like this, the way it is now, unglued, and then when a customer buys it online, I just glue everything together. So here's what it looks like with a non-satin finished blade. I kind of like this rough Kurouchi style skin there on the black here, but yeah, you can see at the front, I don't know if it's screwed in. This one is more visible. So that's, you have to do that. If you got a cap like that, you have to screw it in, because if you don't, and you just have it, like if you just have like some shoulders on your tang, and that's it, you don't have anything mechanical keeping it down, when you twist the blade, it's going to want to pop it off, and then it's going to pop off. And then you get a bolster that's just wiggling around between the blade and the handle. So you don't want that. And of course the best way to do it is to screw it in from two sides with a lot of glue. But I didn't mirror polish the ring here like I usually do on some other ones, because I kind of like that satin finish on the ring. I think it looks good. So very good work. And I added the string here. I like to have that string there personally, so it's like when you're working with really greasy stuff and large carcasses and stuff like that, it's nice to have something somewhere that you can draw with, and this is unobtrusive. You don't feel it there, except when you need it and you want to use it, then you can dig into it. So you really don't feel it there at all. On some other handles, for example, I generally put it back here as well, and that is really nice back there because it can stick your finger in there too. But I haven't put it on this one. I like it here, and it acts for dual purpose too. So this is a ring that goes over the wood. The wood goes all the way up, machine down. Then what you have, there's a video on my Instagram. You can see like it's completely like a perfect fit. And then the string is nice addition because when the wood swells and contracts, yeah, the ring helps a lot with, preventing that swelling from occurring, and it's stabilized as well, so you're not going to get nearly as much of it. But what this string also does is that it completely disguises any long-term fluctuation in the width of the wood around that area. So you're not going to feel any sharp corners develop between any transitions in the handle, right? So that's like a super cool thing that I like about this too, is that it's gonna disguise any type of ridge that occurs there, because the wood, even though it goes into the ring, there's still a ledge between the wood and the base of the ring. So, just from use, from playing around over several years, you're going to get that ridge is going to pop in and out, in and out, in and out. So this is like having that string there further prevents any ridges from occurring. That's much more the case with raw wood than I gotta be careful putting that in. It's much more the case with raw wood, of course, than the stabilized. But overall, I think it's nice. It's also nice to do things that kind of, make you stand out. And then often a lot of things that you understand, that you know what to do, that you understand how to do, people won't appreciate for several years or for quite a long time because they don't understand why you did it. And sometimes they might not like it until the moment they realize, that's why, right? So, sometimes you just gotta stick to your own guns, and especially if you know if it works, because other people might not understand for quite a long time why you do things in a certain way. And if you have to explain it every single time you make something, or every single time you sell something to someone new, and you got to go through the whole process, it gets a little tiring. But either way, like, it exists, so it'll be self-explanatory over time. So this is, let's see how much this weighs, actually. This one. These usually weigh around 120, 130 grams. This one feels a little lighter than the one that weighed 130 grams. Why isn't my scale turning on? There we go. So, let's see. Ooh, it's 140 grams. Maybe because it's stabilized wood. But yeah. Nothing much more to say. This is pretty much a standard model of mine. It costs a lot of money to make these. But yeah, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you're looking into making kitchen knives, really what I recommend you do is you CAD draw something that's very conservative in design, not experimental. Keep it pretty thin. Get the plasma cutting or the water cutting done. Then ship it to, make sure that when you get all those, straighten them all out, make sure they're all straight before they send the heat treat, because that's going to help you out a lot. Then the heat treat, and do like a nice steel too, like not just some basic stainless, do like a high-end, super nice stainless steel. Like M390 or N690 or whatever. Then get it heat treated by a facility, people who know how to heat treat shit. And then you get it back. And don't do too many in one go. Do like 10 at first. Don't do like 40 or 30 in one go. Like, I have a box of like 300-400 of these, But anyway. So, yeah, do like 10 at first and just build slowly with that. And I would recommend rat tail so that you can, do your handles like this, octagonal. It's much more relaxing, I think, to make rat tail kitchen knives. Much easier to get a good finish on a handle, and to do this kind of style, especially if you have a metal lathe. I do most of the work on my kitchen knives on a metal lathe. There's some videos you've seen of me doing this kind of ring construction. And then, yeah, get stabilized wood, stabilize it yourself, and then just get a grinder with some good water cooling, and then just grind the blades, grind the edges, do some, finish them nicely, and then just stick them into a nice handle, and that's it. That's what I recommend. Forging kitchen knives is nice, but you're going against the current a little bit. And I do forge kitchen knives. I mean, you guys saw a massive one the other day. And if you're going to forge kitchen knives and you want to forge, it's recommended that you do something that's, difficult to replicate, right? Difficult to buy in the market. Something that's, super tall and super large, like this, for example, is a good example of what I mean. It's like if you're looking for a super tall cleaver style knife in the market, you're a customer, you're a consumer, you don't really want to pay much. Well, this is perfect because it's just spring steel. It's very large. You can beat the crap out of this, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, do whatever you want. But if you want to make some high-end kitchen knives, you're kind of limited to using like a super stainless steel. So the customer ordered like 6 of these, basically identical, slightly different wood choices. So I'll be working for the next couple weeks on doing all those. The blades are mostly finished. I need to satin them, and the handles haven't even been started on. So it's a bit of a delay in the project because he ordered more in the middle. So now he wants a Yanagiba and a paring knife as well. So yeah, so again, like I recommend, if you really want to get into making kitchen knives, I really recommend that you CAD draw yourself a really conservative design, something that's, accessible to anyone in terms of design. Get a nice, good stainless steel, get it plasma cut or water cut. Nowadays, plasma cutting is no big deal. It doesn't affect the steel that much. It's so precise and so high. So the machines are so advanced compared to what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. Then you straighten them, get them heat treated by professionals. And the thing is, like, you don't need to get a heat treating setup. You don't need to waste all that money on a heat treating oven, on the foil, on the aluminum. You don't need to do that. And not only are you going to waste so much money on that, if you've only done it 20 times and you don't have a degree in metallurgy, all you're doing is going off the information that you read on bladesmithing forums, which is the same kind of people doing the same kind of things. So you're way better off saving that money on paying for somebody to actually heat treat. And you're going to be paying like, 3 to 6 euros, maybe 10, 20 max for each blade, depending on what's going on at the facility. But I mean, I'm paying, 3 to 6 euros per knife to get them heat treated in the highest degree of quality that you can get them heat treated by an entire team of people at a facility that have all metallurgical degrees, mechanical engineering degrees and stuff like that. Like it's, they have like 16 different types of testing methods, They got the Rockwell hardness, they got all the tools you need to do a good job. So for 3, 6 to 10 euros, 12 euros, whatever, for each knife, it's totally worth it compared to a $2,000 heat treating oven, a bunch of, messing around with heat treating equipment, having absolutely no clue what's going on, and then just kind of going off, oh, I know what I'm doing because I have all this technology. You know, a lot of guys, they lie to themselves by buying a bunch of junk they don't understand. And because they have that junk and people can see their workshop and say, oh, nice equipment, it gives the illusion that these people know what the fuck they're doing. But really, like, after you read enough metallurgy and you study enough metallurgy and you know enough metallurgists and you know people who do it in the industry all the time and you know the top pros in the industry, it's much better to get it outsourced and get those people to do it. I mean, it really is, especially with super stainless steel. And then what they're going to tell you is you grind it in water cooling, water cool grinding. Get some good belts, you know, spend that money on the belts, spend that money on the abrasives, spend that money on a belt grinder. And then, you know, then you can get some super high-end stainless steel kitchen knives, make them look really good. And if it's rat tail, which I recommend, and you have a metal lathe, you do some chill handles like this. It doesn't take super long, and you got yourself a super duper high quality handmade kitchen knife. Like the highest quality kitchen knives in the world are basically that. You know, stock removal, super stainless steel, you know, custom built stuff. So, and remember, if you're gonna order a bunch of plasma cut blades, don't do 30, don't do 20, do like 10 at first, do 5 or 10 or something like that. Because you're going to bite yourself in the ass pretty hard if they all come back and they're not how you expected them to be. So, also 1.5 millimeters is pretty nice, but it's going to require a lot more skill to grind. So I don't know what to say about that. 1.7 maybe is good. 2 millimeters and under. It depends what you're doing. If you got a Giotto, a super long blade, you know, something like this, it's probably going to come back from the heat treating completely warped. I don't know. But that's what I recommend you do if you're interested in making kitchen knives. High-end kitchen knives. And yeah, there isn't much more. Oh, and do octagonal handles. If you want to be taken seriously, do octagonal handles. That's a must. So, all right, guys. I hope you have a good day.